Hello everyone, this is Tiffany Almeida with Pretty and Paper Crafts, and this is video number 5 in my Fancy Fold Party Panda technique class. And this card, I'm gonna show you how to make a double slider birthday card. Isn't that fun? So pandas pop up the top and pandas pop up the bottom, or pop out the bottom. And it's really neat because you actually use a plastic bag for the sliding mechanism. So I will show you how I did this. So the pieces that came in your kit include but are not limited to, I guess I should say. The base is made from Pool Party. It's cut at 5.5 by 11, and on the long side I scored it at 3.5, 7 1/8, and 10 5/8. And what we're going to do is we are going to actually put a strip of tear and tape or strong adhesive, if you have fast fuse, at the end of your tab here between the seam and the end. And we will go ahead and burnish our edges, our score lines. It needs to stay out of the way, like so. Okay, so this is going to be our base. We also need 2 pieces of Whisper white cardstock, and they measure at 3 1/4 by 5.5. Okay, so the other thing we need to do is cut a plastic bag. And so what I did is I cut up a plastic bag. As you can see here, this is like one side of the bag. And I need to cut a fairly straight strip of plastic, and it should be about 1.5 inches wide is all. So I'm just gonna kind of run my scissors up through the plastic. Okay, and this piece is going to be where our plastic is going to wrap around the end piece here without the flap. Okay, so we'll, I don't want this edge. So what we're gonna do is just lay this down and wrap it around. And then we want to cut off fairly close to the edge. Now, you don't wanna make it too tight or else it won't slide easily, but you don't wanna make it too loose either. So I'm just gonna trim off some excess. And then if you have some regular Scotch tape handy, you'll just lay down some Scotch tape to keep this flat. Don't tape it to the Pool Party base, tape it to itself. And I'm just putting tape down to make sure that it doesn't catch on anything. Okay, so that should be good. And so the whole idea is that it will slide up and down easily. See? Cute, right? Okay, so I'm going to keep that down there. And then the tear and tape, you're going to need to put a strip of tear and tape on the inside at the bottom. Oops, I'm going to move this tape out of the way. So a piece at the bottom here, and you'll peel the backing off of it, and you will lay one of your pieces of Whisper white cardstock flush with the bottom, flush with the bottom, so with the bottom of the base, like so. Okay. So see how that's kind of centered in between the 2 lines and flush with the bottom and the top. Now, on the other side, we need to put a piece of tear and tape at the top. Like so. And peel the backing off. And put our other piece of Whisper white cardstock on. Okay, now The other thing we need to do before we move forward is we need to punch a hole at both the front and the back to create an area where we can pull the cards out. Excuse me, I did not grab it ahead of time, so I've got to find it real quick. I think this one is it. This is the 1 3/8 circle punch. And what you're just going to do is just go down, try to find the center of the cardstock. And actually, I want the center to be, because this is going to be my front panel, I want the center to be here. So just lining up my punch where I think it should go and punching that out. Okay? All right, now we're actually going to assemble the card. So we're going to take the sticky piece of the back of the tear and tape off of our strip here. And this actually tucks inside like so. So it folds that in. And then this piece is going to adhere to this back piece, but you've got to kind of tuck it underneath the white cardstock. So it's going to go between the white cardstock and the pool party base. Do you see how I'm tucking that in? And then I just want to make sure my card is flat when I glue this down. So I'm just kind of making sure the card's flat and gluing that down. There we go. All right, now I've got to figure out, okay, so here's the front of our card. Here's the top panel, and we just cross our fingers and pray that this works, and whoa, look at that, it works. Yay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is the stamping part. Now the reason that I didn't stamp these white pieces before I glued them in is because no matter how many times I tried, you cannot, I keep stamping and then trying to put it on there and it's not perfect, and I put them on backwards and it doesn't pull up right. So anyways, I figured, okay, we'll just stamp after the fact because otherwise it's going to be an absolute failure. So let me bring back the original so I can show you how we're going to stamp. The top is going to have the panda with the balloons coming up. So we'll stamp those first. So I'll just set that to the side so we can refer to it if we need it. And I'm using Memento Black ink because we're going to use the blends to color the balloons. But I went ahead and I'm just going to get my bear really inky and make sure that he's covered really well and that there aren't any funny things going on. Looked like he had a black line. He still kind of looks like he has a black line. I wonder what that is. I don't know. Okay. I think he's good. We're going to go ahead and stamp him. And I'm stamping him fairly close to the line here, because my panda over here is really close to the line as well. Okay, he did not come out all the way, but that's okay. I can take my black Stampin' Write marker, or if you have a black marker of any kind, or even a blender pen, you can kind of color him in. There, see? He's all better. So that's something you can do when you're using black. If you have a black marker and you make a mistake, you can always go in and color him. Okay, I actually need to clean him off fairly well because I'm going to be stamping the balloons, and I don't want any color from the panda to transfer. I'm just cleaning my stamp here off camera here. I just want the balloon to stamp. See that? And not the panda. So I've got to make sure the ink is off of him really well. And I'm just stamping onto the paper mat to make sure all the ink's off. And now what I'm going to do is just ink the balloon. I don't want his hand or his ear or anything else. I just want the balloon. Okay? And I'm just going to stamp the balloon in several different places, as if a bunch of balloons were released and he's floating up with them. Isn't that cute? We'll do one off to the side here, and we'll do one more down below. There we go. All right, so that's it for him. Now I'm gonna stamp the word hi from the stamp set, the little hi, in his balloon. So you can see here in the example, hi is there. And I am going to stamp that right here. Now I'm going to give it a few minutes to dry, and then we'll come back and color him in with the blend. So I'm going to go ahead and move down to the bottom panel and stamp that. So here we go. So I've got my little party panda with a hat on, and I'm going to get him good and inky. And I just check to make sure he's covered pretty well. I sometimes will smush and kind of rub back and forth and make sure that the ink is covering it completely. I'm happy with it, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp him like so. Oh, he turned out perfect. I love it. Okay, and then I'm going to also stamp happy birthday right below him. That's going to be our little message. So I'm getting that inked, and it looks good, except for the cat hair I have in my finger. Okay, happy birthday. Okay, and then he's got some confetti going on. Do you see that? He's got confetti. So we're going to put some confetti on him. I'm going to clean off these stamps because the last thing I want to do is get ink on my paper. So just cleaning those off to be safe. Straight ink with me is no good because I get ink everywhere. Okay, now, so the colors that I used for my confetti are Bermuda Bay and Lemon Lime Twist. So I'm going to stamp with Lemon Lime Twist just because it's the lighter of the two colors, and it's easier to clean and stamp with the darker color after you've stamped with the lighter color. So just to be on the safe side, stamping with the lighter color first. So there's my lemon lime, cleaning off my stamp, closing my lemon lime before I make messes, getting my Bermuda Bay, and I'm going to just stamp a couple more confetti around my panda. Isn't he cute? He's so fun. Okay, so that's it. Now I think both my pandas are probably pretty dry, and I can go ahead and use my blends on them in color. So I'm just going to clean this stamp off real quick. Move my ink pad out of the way, and I'll get my blends out. So I've got my Pool Party light and dark and my Bermuda Bay dark. And I am going to start with my light Pool Party and do my base, kind of my base color on my balloons. And I like to make it so I try to picture where I think the light's coming from. And I tend to favor thinking that it comes from always the right side and the top right. So that's where I'm going to leave my balloon the lightest, as if the sun is hitting it. And the shading is going to be darkest in the left side bottom. If that made any sense. But you'll see as I start playing. So now I'm getting my dark Pool Party, and I'm just going to be shading. So I'm just putting a darker shade where I think it'll be darker in the balloon, leaving the light space open. And you want to be careful not getting too close to the edges, because the markers can bleed through the paper and through the black ink. So just be careful and be aware that that can happen. So now I'm going back to my light shade, and I'm just going to go back over my dark and kind of blend the edges a little bit. This is why I love blends. You can go back over your color, work the color in, and it will lighten it up. That's why I say you can always do layers. Layer, 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 layer. Don't go very dark. You could add layers and layers of light and make dark. I just like to blend my edges so they aren't so obvious. And I like to leave just a little bit of white as if it's the shiny part of the balloon. I'm happy with this. It looks good. So I'm going to leave my balloons the way they are, and then I'm going to move down and just color his little party hat. I'm going to do the space around the polka dots in dark pool party. Oh no, actually light pool party. And just color that in. And then I'm going to do his polka dots in the dark Bermuda Bay, just to pop out. I love these two colors of the blends. I'm so happy they came out with them. I use them so much. All right, so now we've got our images on our balloons, and I mean on our Whisper White cardstock. Can't talk today apparently. Okay, now I have my piece of designer series paper. This is cut at 3 3/5 by 5 3/8. And I just need to punch my hole in the center, and I'm going to actually mark it so I know it's going to be accurate, because eyeballing it is not working for me. So I'm just going to use my blend and mark the center. That way I know what to punch out. And voila. So that should be fairly good, and it is. I'm happy with that. So now we just need to glue this down. I'm going to use my regular runner to get this glued down. I love it. I really contemplated putting something on the front of this, but I thought the balloons just looked so pretty, and everything I tried just took away from it, and I loved it just the way it was. So I did nothing to the front of it. I think just pulling it up and being surprised by the inside is enough. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna hole punch the top and string my ribbon through. So see my example here, I've got my ribbon. That's kind of our pull tab. So I'm going to punch a hole and get the ribbon through there. So if I go down, I can kind of see the center. I'm going to have to pull it out a little bit. That's going to be good. There it is. Okay, and then I'm taking a piece of my lemon lime twist ribbon. I love this classic weave ribbon. It's nice and bright and thick ribbon. I'm just going to pull that through the hole. I'm going to trim off the excess because I do not need that much ribbon. And I'm using my crappy scissors that don't cut very well. Oh, look at that. Okay, and then I have my pool party baker's twine, and I'm just going to tie a bow around the around the piece of ribbon. And I do my bows upside down, as you guys might remember, because I'm left-handed and it just I seem to tie cleaner bows that way. But you go ahead and tie bows however it works for you. And I promise you, tying bows, practice makes perfect. It really, really does. It's not something that you're an expert at right away. It takes time. I'm far from being an expert, but I am definitely better than when I started. And there's really not a bow that you don't get to fuss with. You have to fuss with bows. That's just how they are. They're finicky. But you just play with it, you keep practicing, and it gets better, I promise. Okay, so there you are. Easy peasy, right? Look at that. You are going to wow the heck out of whoever you give this card to. It is so cool. And then the pandas, of course, add a whole nother level to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this card. I really had a blast designing this class for you, and I hope you guys learned a lot and were able to recreate these projects in your own crafting. All right, that's it for me. Thank you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe my videos if you will. The more likes I get, the more people will watch my videos, and that would be amazing. So any help you can do, that would be wonderful. And thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye.